I was just thinking, how does an SD card remove its file? Like, where does it send it to?
When you like empty it and disk utility it?
Yeah, I guess, or just like this.
I don't know, man.
Crazy.
You smoke again or something, bro? What's going on, guys? Thank you for joining us for another video. My name is Dillon DeJesus from DeJesus Custom Footwear. I personally am somebody who has been customizing shoes for almost a decade now. I have literally painted thousands of shoes over the span of the past 8+ years. And today I wanted to walk you guys through all of my advice that I would give to anybody just starting out. Whether you're just looking for a new hobby or potentially looking to start a new business with customizing shoes, I think there's a few things that I've experienced that could absolutely help anybody out in this field. So when just starting out, I think it's really important that you right away just go ahead and practice with your own pairs. Especially shoes that you already have, you don't need to go out and spend any additional money on. This is something that everybody's always concerned with, and they're asking us, where do I get shoes to customize on? Where can I get different canvases to practice all of my skills with? But just go ahead and practice on anything that you can get your hands on. Any old shoes you have or anything that's just been collecting dust in your closet, now's the perfect time to treat them as your new canvas to work on. From there, you can show your pair that you did off to your friends and family. Hopefully they want to support you and would be willing to wear your work. And now all of a sudden, any of them that you do shoes for are now a walking billboard for you and your business. And so this is a pretty simple lather, rinse, repeat process that you can do over and over. Shoes for yourself, shoes for your friends, shoes for your family when you're just starting out, and you're gonna all of a sudden have a few clients and a few different canvases that you've done different types of work on, and all of a sudden you'll be building up that portfolio a lot quicker than you may have thought. My next tip for anybody just starting out is that you almost need to take a Gary Vee approach to your business, and you need to create an insane amount of content as much as humanly possible. So I think it's way too typical where we'll see new customizers reach out to us and have them ask us to critique their work or check out their Instagram page, and they're basically only creating one post for every project that they do. And the reason why this is a huge missed opportunity is because there's so much additional content that you could create out of every project. If you're just starting out and you don't have a full slate of orders or projects that you're gonna be working on, you need to create a lot of content because you need to constantly be posting on social medias. You need to stay on people's feeds and stay on their minds so that you can continue to grow on any platform in general. And so just a few of my tips for growing on Instagram, since that is going to be one of the main platforms where anybody's trying to grow a business, is you need to stay active. That means you need to stay posting on your story constantly. You only need to do this once every 24 hours for the story to at least stay active for new users when they come and find you. But when new users search you up and find you through Instagram, they're going to want to see that you're active. So you want to always have that story button with something for people to see. As far as when it comes to working on each individual project, there's a lot of content that you can create from beginning to end. You can obviously do a lot of time lapses of the entire project or a specific portion. You could do before and after photos. You could do multiple shots of the shoes, detail shots, overhead shots, and some work in progress shots while you're still working on them. You're halfway done, but you just completed a section or a portion of the shoe that's looking really cool. You want to give a sneak peek. Either way, these are all different types of content strategies that you can do in order to constantly be posting and constantly be showing up on people's feeds. And just going over a few of my other Instagram growth strategies, I think it's incredibly important, especially when first starting out, to really take the time to respond back to every single person who's supporting your work. If anybody's dropping you a comment, even if it's just simple emojis, respond back to them. Try to start a further conversation. Really get to know your audience. From there, there's things that you can do, such as go on Instagram Live. You could do Instagram story polls. You can go ahead, open up a Q&A session on your Instagram story to allow anybody to ask you questions or anything like that. You just want to be engaging on the platform with your audience. And of course, even today in 2019, it's still relevant that you need to be utilizing hashtags properly. A lot of these strategies will also cross over to any other platform you're trying to grow on, whether that be Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, anything like that. I, of course, also think it's a good idea for you to try to create business pages on all of those platforms. Even if you're not going to be as active on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube, it's still a good idea to have that. It's just going to give you a more professional look and give you a little bit more added credibility as a whole. I think that it's really important to use the right materials right from the start. One of the most commonly asked questions that we get is, can I use any type of paint on my shoes? And so what people are referring to typically when they ask that question is, can they go to their local craft store and purchase some cheap acrylic paint? And so the real reason that you don't want to do this from the start, not only because the shoes won't be wearable due to regular acrylic paint being a little bit too thick and it won't properly adhere to any type of surface, is because once you upgrade eventually to the paints that you should be using, such as Angelus, now you've practiced with the wrong materials, and now you're going to need to get used to working with something like Angelus from the start. And so the real reason that you don't want to be doing that from the start is because not only will the shoes not be wearable because regular acrylic paint is a little bit too thick and it's not going to bond properly to any surface, but because once you eventually take the time to upgrade to the right paints, such as something like Angelus, now you're going to need to relearn how to work with this new type of paint. Working with something like Angelus is vastly different than working with regular acrylic paint due to it being a whole lot thinner, and so now you're going to need to relearn exactly how these paints are going to interact with a lot of different types of surfaces that you might be painting on. So I think it's just really important to take the time, do the research, and I know it may be hard to spend the money at first, but you really want to take the time to make sure you're using the right materials from the start. So I think you always want to try to keep the end goal in mind of trying to create wearable art. That is definitely always my goal when working with any type of custom shoes. We're trying to create something wearable for our customers. So this means that you really need to take the time to prep any surfaces that you're going to be painting on, make sure that any surfaces are actually paintable, and then when it actually comes to the painting, really make sure that you do that in a slow manner, you don't speed through it, you allow the proper dry time, and then when it comes to the finishing, you're using the right finishers for the right materials and things of that nature. This is going to give you a nice, clean, wearable product that not only will you be proud of, but then your customer can proudly display when wearing them on their feet. And so my last tip is going to be for you to find somebody who you can look up to in your field, something like a mentor of sort. And so if you're potentially a college basketball player and you want to look up non-stop LeBron or Steph highlights, you want to learn from the best in the field. If you're like us and constantly trying to learn about things like photography, videography, you're going to look up somebody like Peter McKinnon on YouTube and just binge all of their content. And so when it comes to custom footwear, I'm not saying you need to binge our content. There's plenty of other customizers here on YouTube who you guys can check out, draw inspiration from, whether that be Marco, Serato, Sophie, Sahil over at Feel Good Threads. There's a lot of great customizers on YouTube, but find somebody who you can relate to, who you think you can learn from, and just really binge their content. Really just become a part of the community, and this is really gonna help you grow also. So those are some of my tips for any customizer who's just starting out. Hopefully you were able to take away a couple tips from today's video, and if you guys are interested, feel free to check out the rest of our YouTube feed. We have tons of different tutorials, tips and tricks, and we cover almost anything you could think of. But if you guys are interested in a little bit more of a detailed, really going into depth type tutorial, we have a lot of that exclusive content featured on our Patreon. So if this is something you guys would consider checking out, we have a lot of different tiers that you guys can select from. It would mean the world from us if you guys would just check that out. So thank you for your continued support, and we will see you guys in that next video.